What when you're converting something that you had planned as a television pilot that's now going to be a novel, um, what things need to change? Obviously, you mentioned we don't need as much magic training, which I assume some of that might have gotten pared back just because of budget concerns. Either way, but now that you're switching to a novel, what are the biggest differences in how you're approaching this as a novel versus as a television pilot?
I would say, there was a lot more emphasis on what's going on in a person's emotional core, kind of writing, staying true and close to Kingston as much as possible. Whereas like in screenwriting, there's a tendency to jump from A story to B story and C story and kind of interweave them. So you kind of like find this rhythm for it to, to have like a nice ending. Whereas in this, it really kind of like really was more about staying close to the heart of what Kingston was after, and which is ultimately his father, and the world would open up, to Kingston and his friends through that journey. And so really, I think we kind of had to get to know Kingston better. Whereas like kind of when you're writing screenplays, it's more like a blueprint to what a production is going to add to that. It's I mean, there's definitely some, techniques, but an actor's going to bring something to that. A director's going to bring something to that. The production's going to happen. And, and then, so that's kind of how that comes to life, right? So that's the final thing, is what you see on the screen, not what you read on the page. Whereas this is all going to be on the page. So really, it all has to come to life right there on the page. So I would say, like, I'm going to say I learned a lot from Theo. He really helped us really kind of like make a great transition, and he was a great partner to share his knowledge with us. And I would say, like I said, it was a long process, but we all kind of really, really trusted each other and really wanted to work together. And so that is what I found to be interesting. I don't have, friends like Craig that I've been friends with for over 20 years. And Theo is now one of my closest. He's my homie, so just being able to share and trust each other is really, I kind of have to say, is like the foundation to what we really had to learn from going from screenwriting to writing a novel.
So Theo, because you are the professor, you're the head of the MFA program with St. Francis, right?
Yeah, that's right. But I have to say, I learned, I mean, not to just repeat what he said, but I learned so much from these guys, in particular, how to collaborate and how, and just how to, enter like this, how much fun it could be to write a story like this. I think sometimes in our tradition, we take the whole process a little too seriously. And this is an adventure story. It's supposed to be fun. I mean, obviously we have to draw realistic characters and make a compelling sort of sense of texture and life on the page. But, it's really, at the end of the day, it's about heart. It's about family. It's about, just, speaking to some of the better sides of childhood, and the relationships between parents and kids, and all that stuff. Harold and Craig just were so instrumental in bringing that about in this process. So yeah, I mean, I take Harold's trust not lightly in the slightest, and so it's a pleasure to be in a position like this, where like we have this kind of complement of skills and vision. I think we have so many shared touchstones in stuff we grew up digging, that it was really and little Easter eggs that we kind of folded in the narrative too, from our own nerdy loves as kids, and that we all kind of were able to have as touchstones. So so yeah, I mean, it's it's one thing to teach it, but it's a totally different thing to really to be in the mix of telling stories with guys who are all about telling stories.